Welcome to FS Mania and part 1 of a series of videos featuring Aerosoft's newly released Pilatus PC-12. We are currently located in Denver, Colorado, which is the largest city and capital of the state of Colorado, located in the western United States, just east of the Rocky Mountains. Denver is nicknamed the Mile High City because the official elevation is 5,280 feet, which is exactly 1 mile. Denver is also home of the NFL Denver Broncos, who won back-to-back Super Bowls in 1997 and 1998. Denver International Airport, identifier Kilo Delta Echo November, is the 10th busiest airport in the world and ranks 4th in the United States with 51,245,334 passengers passing through it in 2008. It covers more than 53 square miles, making it the largest airport by land area in the United States, and it is larger than the island of Manhattan in New York. Denver serves as a major hub for United Airlines. It is the headquarters for Frontier Airlines and is the fastest growing focus city for Southwest Airlines. On the first flight of this series, we will be flying to Eagle County Regional Airport, identifier Kilo Echo Golf Echo, sometimes referred to as Vail Eagle Airport or Eagleville Airport. It is a public airport located 4 miles west of Eagle, Colorado. The airport serves its namesake, Eagle County, which includes visitors to the nearby Vail and Beaver Creek ski resorts. It covers 632 acres and is configured with a single runway. The History Channel rated Eagle County Regional Airport as number 8 on its list of most extreme airports in July 2010 due to the elevation, weather variability, and an approach through mountainous terrain, as well as a challenging departure procedure. Introducing the Pilatus PC-12. The Pilatus PC-12 is a Swedish-built single-engine business-class pressurized turboprop certified for single-pilot IFR operations. It is manufactured by Pilatus Aircraft and has been in production since 1994. The PC-12 has been compared to a Swiss Army knife due to the unmatched versatility of the airplane. It has been called relentlessly Swiss, and it is said by Pilatus to be over-engineered, and they are proud of it. Aviation Week claims the PC-12 is the world's best-selling pressurized single with almost a 2-to-1 margin over its closest competitor. Strong points include having a cabin that is larger than that of a King Air B200, a flat cabin floor, a full-length air stair, a large cargo door, comparatively slow takeoff and landing speeds, excellent short-field performance, and easy handling characteristics. The PC-12 comes equipped with a Pratt & Whitney PT-6A-67B. The newest version, PC-12NG for next generation, now in production, features a more powerful PT-6A-67P with better climb performance and slightly higher cruise speed up to 280 knots. The NG also features a Honeywell Primus Apex glass cockpit, but for whatever reason, Carenado chose to model an earlier series without the Honeywell avionics. The PC-12 is 47 feet 3 inches long, 14 feet high, with a 53-foot 3-inch wingspan. A tail wingspan of 17 feet and 1 inch. It has a maximum takeoff weight of 10,450 pounds, carries a payload of 3,502 pounds, Has a fuel capacity of 402 gallons usable with a typical fuel burn of 360 pounds per hour, which is about 54 gallons per hour. The PC-12 has a range of over 1,500 nautical miles. Powered by the Pratt & Whitney PT-6A-67B, rated at 1,200 shaft horsepower with a Hartzell 4-blade aluminum adjustable pitch, fully feather, and constant speed reversible propeller driven by the engine power turbine through a reduction gearbox. That's a mouthful. Each blade is equipped with an electric de-ice boot, and the propeller measures 8 feet 9 inches in diameter and turns at 1,700 RPMs. The PC-12 will cruise at 270 knots, true airspeed at 20,000 feet, and has a service ceiling of 30,000 feet. Carenado's version of the PC-12 sports the original Electronic Flight Instrument System, also known as EFIS, which includes an EADI, which is an electronic attitude direction indicator, an EHSI, which is an electronic horizontal situation indicator, dual Garmin GNS 530s, a full functioning autopilot, and an Avidyne multifunction display with terrain awareness warning system and weather radar. Carenado's model features a stall pusher effect, original alarm and warning sounds, landing and taxi light halo effects, dynamic environment gauges and reflections, HD quality textures, volumetric side view prop effect, and realistic night lighting. In fact, here is a sample of the night lighting, which I must say is pretty dang good. Here we have the exterior lighting with the strobes, the beacon, taxi lights, nav lights, and landing lights all on. And here is the flight deck lighting, which in my opinion is excellent. It makes me want to go night flying, and in fact, I think I will, but not now. Back to the real world. The question that begs to be asked is, how much does all this versatility cost? A 1995 PC-12 41 model will bring around $1.5 million in US dollars. A 2007 PC-12 47 model sells for around $2.5 million, and a new PC-12 NG runs upwards of $4.6 million. Some of the add-ons I'm using in this series besides Carenado's Pilatus PC-12 in high definition are Active Sky Next, Rex Textures, AccuFill, FlightBeam's Denver Scenery, Vero's Heart of Colorado Photoreal Scenery, Eagle County Airport by Mountain Express Scenery, Aspen X Scenery by Aerosoft, and the Reality XP version of the Garmin GNS 530. I think that about covers all of the basics for this series, so how about we climb aboard and let's go do some flying. Just taking a quick look at the sectional chart and our route of flight, courtesy of skyvector.com. You can see the Denver International Airport over here. Our route of flight is indicated with the magenta line. So we'll be departing and flying to the west over Boulder, Colorado, climbing up to an altitude of 16,000 feet. You can see the minimum safe altitude in this sector is 14.6. We're going to fly to the departure procedure, the SID, to this intersection, Zimmer, and then inbound to the Kremling VOR, and then outbound southwest to Eagle County, and we'll be flying the GPS approach into Eagle County. Our total distance is 120.9 nautical miles. Here's a look at the SID we'll be flying from Denver International, the Rocky 1 departure. We will be departing runway 17. We're going to be flying the Kremling transition, and that will entail us departing the runway, climbing, and being vectored around to intercept this 278 radial of the Denver VOR, or I believe it's actually a VORTAC, and we'll fly to the Zimmer intersection and then inbound to the Kremling VOR, and from there we'll begin our approach into Eagle County. And welcome aboard for our flight from Denver to Eagle County. We are parked here in front of the signature executive terminal, as we should be. And we have looked at the weather, mainly clear. We have some light winds on departure, light winds on arrival in Eagle County. Weather looks pretty favorable for this flight, and we have filed our flight plan and checked our fuel, loaded. We have about a 50% fuel capacity, so we're ready to go. Our cabin doors are closed and latched, seat belts and shoulder harnesses. Please fasten and adjust yours, and mine is. The control locks are removed, and our parking brake is set. Standby bus switch. We'll put that in the on position. Circuit breakers, we want to check to be sure they're all in. We have a lot of circuit breakers on this airplane. There are several buses, emergency buses, avionics buses, battery buses, A and B. We have 2 batteries. Over here on the co-pilot side, we have another whole bank of them. None of them are actually modeled, but so I know they're all in. Just like to look at them though, still procedurally, and make sure. The emergency power switch needs to be checked, and so let's look up here, and armed actually. This is actually a backup battery for the avionics, and if we were to lose our main power supply, then it will automatically switch over to the emergency power setting there. And our EFIS composite switch should be in the normal position. It is. We'll talk a little bit more about that and the AHRS systems, which is the attitude heading reference systems. We'll talk a little bit more about those later in flight. We'll look over here at the environmental control. It needs to be in the off position. It is. Cabin pressure switch is guarded in the auto position, and we want to set our cabin pressurization to our cruise altitude plus 500, and since our cruise altitude is 16,000 feet, that's going to be a little hard to do because this only goes up to about 10,000, but I think a cabin pressure of 8,000 feet would be appropriate, and so we'll set that there. And the trim interrupt switch and the flap interrupt switches are in the normal and guarded position. Good. And our manual override lever is in the off position. Let's get down here where we can see that. Raise that guy. Okay, so that's our manual override. So if something happens to our power control lever, we will be able to manually override. It is in the off position. And condition lever is, I need to get over here where I can see this condition lever. We want that to be sure we're in the off position. We are, and I have control of that. And then let's go back over here, moving around here some with Easy Dock, and let's make sure our throttle is set in the idle indent there, and it is. Okay, power control lever idle indent, detent, and condition lever is cut off. Flap lever is 0. And let's turn the page on the checklist. Cockpit instrument cabin light switches are all off. Those are back here. The fuel shut off lever and the environmental control system lever, those are back here on the back side of this console, and they are in. There's also a storage for the hydraulic hand pump back here. Those aren't sticking out. We know they're in. We could go back there and take a look, but we're more interested in right now getting the airplane cranked up. So let's go up here to the overhead and cut on our battery 1 and our battery 2, and we check to see that we have more than 24 volts. We do. If we had less, we could do a external power source start. Let's cut on our beacon lights and our nav lights, and let's just check to be sure we have 3 greens on our landing gear. We do. And we also want to take a look at our fuel contents. We are indicating about 50% fuel. That's good. And let's go back up to our overhead and cut on our fuel pumps into the on position, and we're just going to listen. I hear the left hand one pulsing and the right hand one pulsing, so those have been tested. And we want to cut our oxygen lever in the on position, and then we can do a check. Actually, it took me a long time to figure out where the oxygen pressure gauge was and the setting knob for that. It's way back over here. There's the pressure gauge, and it's reading what it's supposed to be, and there's where we can cut it into the auto mode. So we've got those set, and from there we should see, actually on our calls here, we should see passenger, the passenger, I'm sorry, let's just see what it does say. Passenger oxygen is lit up, and that's what we want, so that's good. And there is a test here that we can run for our engine in I beg your pardon, engine indication system test. There, that looks good. And we can do a test of our lamps up here. It seems like I'm jumping all over, and that looks good. And then let's just check our propeller area is clear. Clear. Sun's coming up here at the Denver International Airport. So what we're going to do is go ahead and we're going to hit our starter switch, and then we're going to monitor our NG. When it rises above 12%, we'll add fuel by bringing our condition lever up into the ground idle position. We'll monitor our oil pressure and our ITT temperature gauge. So here's our starter, and we're looking for 12% on the NG. Watching our oil pressure rising. There's our 12%. Adding some fuel, monitoring the intra-turbine temperature. Did not spike. We have a good start, and let's just check to make sure we're set in ground idle. That's where we want to be. We'll take another look at those engine gauges. Looks like we're getting a good start. Oil pressure's up. So we can go ahead to our overhead, and let's cut on our generators. We have two, generator 1, generator 2, and let's bring on our avionics buses, and then we can cut off our standby bus. And I believe we're good up there. Just take a look at the checklist. Okay, let's come down and reset here. Our fuel totalizer tells us how much fuel we've used. Right now it's reading 1359. We'll reset that. I'm sorry, it's here. That's how much we have. Here's how much we've used. But we reset that to 0. And while we're in here, we'll go ahead and bring on our avionics, our GPSs, Garmin's, GNS 530s. Let's get this one on. I think I accidentally cut on the ident. And we'll go ahead and set our transponder squawk code. We'll leave it in the standby position, and let's go ahead and start so we can record our flight time there. And let's see, we want to put our environmental control system switch down here into the auto position, and our inertial separator, there we are, is off, and we'll leave that off right now. We're on a hard surface, we don't need that. And we want to check to be sure we have no flags on our AHRS system. I don't see any flags. Those switches are supposed to be in the the slave, and they are positioned. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later. I do want to go ahead and cut on, since we're still a little early in the day here, we'll go ahead and cut on some panel lights. There we are. and we're going to set some radios up for departure, and then we'll be ready to taxi. So let's go in here, and this is the Reality XP version of the Garmin GNS 530, and it is a much improved version over the standard FSX. This is a basic fly direct. This one will allow me to have some flight plans installed. It has it's much more functional. Highly recommend it if you're going to fly this airplane. And so we have a message. We'll cut that. Okay. So first thing we're going to want to do here is let's go ahead and just check our ATIS. And the Denver frequency is 134.025. So there we are. The click spots are a little touchy on here, so but they do light up to let you know when you found them. 025. Going the wrong way. Let's back it up. There it is. Well, 025, come on. Wait a minute. 7505, there we are. Okay. Apologize.
Airport information, India 1327 Zulu, wind 211 at 10.
10 knot wind, 16 mile visibility.
Temperature 9 2.2, altimeter 30.
Temperature 9.
ILS
3015.
Left ILS, runway 16, right ILS, runway 17, left ILS, runway 17, right.
Okay, we'll shut him up. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell you now, ATC, I'm not going to get too worried about that because with this robot voice, it's a major distraction. So we're going to pretend like we are dealing with them, but in reality we aren't. Okay, back to our GPS then. Let's look at our flight plan. Let's go ahead and bring that up, and you can see the active flight plan page here, and what we want is the catalog, so we can select, if I can get that cursor, right here it is. There we go. So we have that. There's a click spot to bring up the cursor. I think it's maybe, where is it? We'll find it. Maybe it's down here. Nope, that's not the one we want. We need to be on the catalog right there. It's not there. Really thought it was there. It is. Okay, I thought it was in there. I think I clicked there. So that's it. That's what we want. We'll press enter, and it already has our departure in there. And I think we want to bring up our menu and to activate that. So now we have our first leg to the VOR and then to Zimmer intersection. So all that looks good. And I'm going to put this one on terrain just because it's pretty. And we'll go ahead and enter something here. And let's bring this one up on, also on terrain. And I can just zoom in down here. I think it's right there. It is. And we've got an 80 nautical mile range. Let's go ahead and make that 40. So the other thing we're going to do is set in our altitude. Our initial altitude will be 11,000, and then we'll climb to 16,000. And so I think we've got everything set. Pretty satisfied. I want to bring this range in just a little bit. Okay, all that looks good. So before taxi, our flaps need to be set at 15. There's a flap indicator right here. It shows the flaps are indeed coming down to 15, and you can see over here actually that I went too far. There's 15 right there. And no warning lights over here on the calls panel. passenger warning switches. Let's go ahead and get the seat belts on. And our taxi light, we'll put that into the on position right there. And we are ready to taxi. Clear left, clear right. Let's release the brake.